Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are delving deeper.
Good evening and welcome to Delving Deeper. I am your host, Ayana Carter. This evening, we are joined by Chairman of the Sports Company of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Douglas Camacho, who was also Chairman of Trinbago 2023 Local Organizing Committee for the recent Commonwealth Youth Games. Also on set is swimmer Nikolai Blackmon, and we will be joined shortly by Janae de Gannes. She is a track athlete. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Delving Deeper.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Camacho, what was your experience hosting the Games?
Well, it was a real challenge. I think it's the first time that Trinidad and Tobago has hosted a multidisciplined event of the order of magnitude of this particular Games. I think the last time we hosted something that was multidisciplined would have been when Penny chaired a Carifta Games when they were building Mount Hope Hospital. So that tells you how long ago. And that was just Carifta. This was 7 disciplines, 2 islands, 71 countries from around the Commonwealth. So it was quite a challenge. What added to the challenge is that normally one has a long lead period. In this instance, the original intention was to host it a couple of years ago. COVID came along, postponed, not cancelled, postponed. And then with 1 year out, it was agreed, let's still put it on. So we literally had 1 year, less than 12 months, actually it was 11 months, to get everything in place. So it was interesting, challenging. We were fortunate in that we do have a number of people in Trinidad and Tobago who have had the benefit of traveling and being part of big multidiscipline games, the Olympics, the Commonwealth, the CAC, the Pan Ams, etc., who we were able to tap into and really have their expertise be a part of the process. But it was very, very apparent to me that a lot of our team, it was groundbreaking for them, it was eye-opening, and I have to say a credit to the team. People like to focus on, well, who's the chairman or who's the president, as the case may be, but really, it was a tremendous team effort. From the volunteers through the local organizing committee. I particularly want to highlight actually the agencies of the state. I say that because they often come in, as you know, the public servants for a lot of flack. And when I think of how the TTPS, the TTDF, the fire services, airport authority, port authority, CAL, when I think the way they embrace this and gave of their time and talent. And that's what they did, because this was national duty. So this was not paid extra leave, as people often think. When I think of a simple thing like the closing ceremony, trying to move 700 people on the morning from Trinidad to Tobago and back the afternoon, and to think that the Port Authority people came out on the night before to pre-check in all 700 and something, athletes and officials. No overtime. I mean, when you think about that, that is commitment to country. So, as the chair of the LOC, I have to say that without those sorts of input from our public servants, from the volunteers, from the LOC, this wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah, and it was definitely a success.
Absolute success. And it's interesting when it really matters, because with all the to-in and fro-in we read in the press from time to time, it was a Trinidad and Tobago initiative. And the central government and the THA were able to collaborate and work together to deliver what everyone says, including Dame Louise, who is the chair of the Commonwealth Games Federation, is perhaps the best junior Commonwealth Games ever. And I would say, having been to more than I could count games, that it's as good as or better than any. I think from an athlete's perspective, and I will let people like Nikolai speak to that themselves, but in all my lifetime, the Olympics back, I don't think athletes have ever had the kind of accommodation and food and so on that we were able to provide. It just doesn't happen.
All right. And so, Nikolai, for those of our viewers who may not know who you are, give us a little synopsis of who is Nikolai Blackmon.
My name is Nikolai Blackmon. I am 3-time Commonwealth gold winner, and I like sleeping and eating.
I think a lot of us could identify, right? Yeah, we could identify. So, as an athlete, and congratulations,
Thank you.
winning your gold at the Commonwealth Youth Games.
Triple gold.
Triple gold, not just one gold,
Thank
triple
you.
gold for Trinidad and Tobago. What do you think, in your perspective, what was your most challenging moment in preparing for these games?
I'll probably say the pressure that comes with like competing in your home country, because normally if you're out in if you're in another person's country, and you're not always gonna win.
Yeah.
But if you lose, you'll feel bad, but not as bad, but it's a certain type of pressure that comes with it if you lose in front of your home country, because then you feel like you feel them, they're disappointed and all kind of thing, and then the criticism will come. So I feel like that was the most challenging part of the whole Commonwealth.
So walk us through, for those of us who may not be star athletes or athletes at all, walk us through what your routine is like.
Well, I now finished Fatima. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning for swimming. And that's from 4 to 6, and then head to school. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 o'clock, same time. And I have to go gym in the morning and then to school. And it's real hard staying awake in class because by 4th period, I'm already sleeping.
Yeah.
And then after that, come home school finishes at 2:20. So then come home, eat, shower, take a little sleep, and then head back to training for 4 to 6. And come home and then have to do homework for the following day.
Yeah. And what was that experience like? I mean, that takes a lot of discipline, to have that type of schedule and still be very successful at school life and social life and all of that.
Yeah, because I say every day, because it also used to happen on weekends, Mom would be like, Nikolai, when are you going to start work? And I have to give her time. And now that I'm finished school, I just be on my own. And anytime Mom calls me, I always think she's going to ask what time I'm going to start work, forgetting that I'm already done school.
Right. But I mean, you're starting at
Starting
university.
yeah.
All right, so tell us a little bit about where you're going to go, what you're studying.
I'm going University of Tennessee for swimming, and I'm doing sports management.
Oh, awesome. So that's totally exciting,
It is.
Yeah. So you were one of the first athletes for Trinidad and Tobago to medal at the Commonwealth Youth Games. What was that experience like?
Well, in prelims, I wasn't gonna go all out, but then one of the guys, I was in like lane 3, I was in lane 4. He sprinted the whole thing. I was like, okay, Nikolai, just watch him. I look away for a second. Next thing you know, whole body length ahead of me. So I was like, okay, now I have to sprint to catch him back. And one of the guys I swam against was 6'7", and his wingspan was long, and I would touch him. And then when you check the results, me out touching him didn't get him into finals. So I ended up in finals in like lane 6. And I was like, okay, first race of Commonwealth, let's not try to disappoint her. And then I was like, okay, first 100. I was like, and I realized, I'm ahead of everybody. Am I going out too fast? And I was like, let me try and slow down a little bit just so I don't get too tired. And then last 50, third 50, my friend and I flip at the same time. And then coming on, I was like, okay, I have him because I already know how he swims based on all the other competitions.
Yeah.
And then I touch the wall, Mom screaming down the place, Dad behind the block crying, apparently. Yeah. It was a very emotional moment.
It was, yeah, I could imagine. And now joining us on set is Janae de Gannes. Welcome, Janae.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
All right, well, Janae, tell us a little bit about yourself for persons who don't know who you are.
Well, my name is Janae de Gannes. I attend Bishop and Steve Porto, Spain. I'm 16 years old, and I'm originally from Tobago, but I'm residing in Petite Valley right now.
Okay, for those of us who might want to know which part of Tobago.
Bonaccord, Tobago.
All right, we're picking up the Bonaccord crew in Tobago, right? All right, so you were one of the very first with Nikolai to get a medal at the Commonwealth Youth Games. What was that experience like for you?
I can't really explain this experience because it was just so much, being able to compete at home and see my parents in the crowd, my friends, even my teachers, came to support, and seeing the energy of the Trinidad and Tobago contingent just coming and just support each and every one. It was just really amazing to compete at home.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, you said that you go to Bishop's Anstey High School in Port of Spain. All right, so what is your schedule like? How do you prepare for your day,
Well, first I get up, I go to school, go to my classes, and then from school I had to go to training. So I had to balance both schools and track and field. And sometimes that really is something hard for athletes, to balance school and track and field. But I couldn't do it without the support of my parents and family and also God.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of feedback you got from your parents and friends when you won your medal?
Well, they were so proud of me. I bawled, after I received the medal. It was so much emotion. I was overwhelmed. And to be able to compete at home and see my parents there was really incredible.
Yeah. All right. So, Mr. Camacho, what are some of the benefits you think would we derive as a nation following the hosting of such a successful Commonwealth Youth Games?
Well, one of the definite things would be the physical legacy, right? We now have a refurbished Hazley Crawford Stadium, which it had to be done in time for the Commonwealth Youth Games, but really is also targeting Carifta 2025, where we'll be hosting. But it will just be available now to all the sports, football, track and field, etc., who make use of the stadium in a very more modern, improved version of what was there before. In the context of Tobago, we ended up with a brand new beach sports facility. Now, it was used for volleyball, but was built to the specifications that allows the largest of the beach sports, which is football, to be played. So at Blackrock, we have a really world-class beach sporting facility. So those are the physical legacies. To me, while that is important, as it provides the infrastructure for training and for competition, the biggest legacy I'm hoping for is a return to participation by young people. What we saw during COVID was a huge fall-off across all the sports, not just the 7 that participated in the Youth Commonwealth Games, but across all the sporting disciplines. And what I'm really hoping for is that this is the catalyst to kickstart again young people coming back out onto the playing fields, swimming pools, tracks, etc., and really being engaged in a meaningful way, and not just playing the games of the digital devices. Not that doesn't provide stimulation and is good for the mental and, hand-eye dexterity. But I think that physical thing, which leads to the healthier nations and will provide a pool of talent so that as we are required to compete at whether junior, senior, or other levels, we will have a bigger pool to choose from among the athletes. That fall away was dramatic. I anticipate it's going to take us a decade just to reverse that trend. And I hope this acts as a catalyst, this and the other events planned over the coming years. So that is a big one. 2, I think it brought joy to the nation at a time when we have so much happening around us that is not very positive. The crime situation, the murder rate, the robberies, the assaults, all the negatives that we're reading about. It is so wonderful to have a beacon of hope, and sport is always that. And not just that, but in this instance, just the participation would have been winning as far as I'm concerned. But to come away with the number of medals we came away with, 15 medals, is tremendous. And to do it at home, as Nikolai explained, you know, it's one thing you win a medal abroad or you participate abroad, and even Janae, but when you could do it at home, you know, in front of your own crowd, takes it to another level.
Yeah. What are some of the lessons learned?
I think if we had to do it over, maybe spend a little bit more time, notwithstanding the short 1 year, as I mentioned, or 11 months really, spend a little bit more time in the planning phase. I think whilst we knew it was a rush, I think we tended to jump straight into the organizing an activity without really sitting and spending that little month or so or two of really mapping out and planning. I think if we had done that, some of the pitfalls that we, as the administrators, see, now, albeit that the public and the international community never sees it, in any games you go to, once you provide a proper playing surface for the athletes, accommodation, meals, and transportation, it always looks spectacular. Nobody ever knows the challenges behind the scenes, you know, whether it is, you know, not sufficient funding, not sufficient physical resource. You need items that are not available in Trinidad, have to be imported. In our situation in Trinidad, getting the foreign exchange, getting it in time, you know, whether it's to upgrade the facilities or just provide things like the volleyballs or things that we just don't manufacture here. You know, it's a lot of logistical challenges that we encountered. And if I had to say what I do differently, it would be that I'd spend a little bit more time at the beginning in the planning. And I know that people get anxious. You know, the minister will be saying, where are you? Where is it at? Where is it at? You know, the THA, where are we? How are we progressing? And, you know, you get that from the day get-go.
Yeah.
And really, when you stop to answer, well, you know, we're in the planning phase, but how long you're planning for? But really, I think if we had spent a little bit more time planning, a lot of the challenges would have been less acute. But in typical Trini fashion, we delivered. I mean, I could say it now, I wouldn't have said it then. But even taking the facility at Black Rock,
Yeah.
that was completed on the Thursday, the opening ceremony the Friday, and the first event the Saturday. Now, if ever there was a definition of just in time, I guess that is it, right? But when you think about what went into that, and maybe I just mention it now after the fact, you know, the sand for a court like that is not easily available in Trinidad. It comes from Guyana. And the challenges of getting that in are not something that is easily managed. It's permits, it's transportation, it's a whole host of moving parts, right? Foreign exchange to pay for it, it's the whole gamut. And I think that was an example of pre-planning, a little bit more time would have taken away some of the concerns that people had, you know, and I really have to give particular tribute here to George Leacock from Tobago, who was the lead person in Tobago, driving it on the ground there. And George is always at the center of any sporting or cultural thing since Adam was a boy in short pants. But, you know, I have to give credit to him and to the House of Assembly for the unstinted support. And of course, our minister here in Trinidad, well, she championed it from the bid process right through and really made it she would literally want every single week a formal meeting for nearly a year. You know, she was really on top of it, as they would say, like white and rice, you know, really behind everybody, making sure that she took it very personal.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Absolutely. In this instance, without teamwork, not possible.
Yeah. Now, Janae and Nikolai, what is next? I mean, we'll start with Nikolai. What is next for you? I know that you're going to university. So tell us what is going to be next for you athletically.
I head up to university, stay a week, and then head to Israel for World Junior Games. And then 2 to 3 weeks after, Pan Am Seniors in Santiago, Chile.
Wow. So you have a tough schedule already, and you
Yep.
just started university.
Yeah.
And that's not Christmas yet.
And it's not even Christmas yet.
Yeah.
And Janae, you're heading back to Bishop. So, you know, what is next for you athletically?
Well, my season is over, so I have off-season training, and after off-season training, I have Carifta next year, World Under 20 next year. Hopefully, I'll make it to Paris for Olympics next year. That's a dream.
Fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed.
Yeah, everything crossed.
And of course, a lot of hard work.
Yeah, a lot of hard work.
Yeah. All right. So, you know, what message do you guys want to give to young athletes or youth on a whole in Trinidad and Tobago? Janae, we can start with you.
I just want to encourage the athletes out there to stay focused and continue to work hard. Once you work hard, you know, anything is possible. And once you have the support of your family and friends and put God first, yeah, that's the way to go. So that's my encouragement to do.
And Nikolai?
Well, sport requires time, money, and as well as dedication towards the sport. And if you don't have dedication towards the sport, you can't really be successful.
Yeah, I think that's some, you know, good advice that you give to.
Thank you.
Excellent advice from excellent Trinidad and Tobago nationals.
Proper
right?
ambassadors.
Proper ambassadors, right? Now, Mr. Camacho, you know, you mentioned previously that there were some events planned. You kind of hinted at some events being planned in Trinidad and Tobago. Could you give us a little sneak peek, if you can?
Sure, certainly. Not a problem at all. Well, as you know, I mean, if you think of not just the events that happen there, we have CPL coming up. Coming up as we speak. We have the English tour of the West Indies in cricket at the back end of the year. We have Carifta next year. I mean, well, we go out for Carifta because we host Carifta in 25. And in fact, it's interesting, in 25 when we host Carifta, we'll be hosting both swimming and track and field for the first time in the same place in quite a while. Here at home, we'll also be hosting the Master Swimming. Now, this activity we just hosted was 1,000 athletes and 500 officials. The Masters that we intend to host is 4,500. So 3 times the numbers.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a huge undertaking, which we had committed to. And it's going to really put not so much our resource, because we do have a couple of 50-meter pools, not so much the physical resource to the test in the sense of the swimming part, but our accommodation, our transportation, the logistics. Because to house 4,500 is like carnival.
Yeah.
We may very well have to bring a cruise ship and park it up in the harbor for rooms, because we literally booked out every room for this games, and that was 1,500. So do the math, you know?
Yeah.
So we have a number of exciting events coming up. Because of that beach facility I mentioned in Black Rock, we have the beach football, looking to host a regional tournament at the end of the year. Beach volleyball, looking to host a regional event at the end of the year. So what we expect going forward over the next, I say 18 months, 24 months, is a lot of activity, not just spawned by these games, but, you know, because it is the policy of the government and of SporTT to encourage regional and international sporting events here, and to encourage people to come and make use of our facilities. So the Malaysians, for instance, stayed on and rented the track, the cycle track, to prepare for tournaments abroad. And that is what we try and encourage. People to come and make use of our fabulous facilities all through the year, so that they aren't just pretty to look at, but are very, you know, effectively used and generate revenue as well for the country.
Yeah, you mentioned, you know, SporTT in the business of developing sport and not just events, but you mentioned some sport tourism aspects of it. Where's SporTT in developing that sport tourism aspect in the Caribbean?
Yeah, we're front and center. I mean, right now as we speak, for instance, we have the GC Foster people in Trinidad running programs in coaching. GC Foster out of Jamaica, as you know. And that is to build a pool of human capital, primarily to go back into the schools first of all, from primary school level up, and get sport and physical education entrenched as an integral part of the curriculum. You know, we have a pressure cooker type academic system in Trinidad where parents and people tend to pull their children out of sport and cultural activities because they see it as a distraction to their studies. Well, young people and this program are testimony that that is absolutely a fallacy. That if you combine it, it makes you a better person, a better human being, you know, a better citizen for Trinidad and Tobago. So, you know, it's something that SporTT is engaged with. We're working with the Ministry of Education as well to help roll that program out throughout the country, the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. So that is a foundational thing that we are doing. In the context of sports tourism, as it's often called, sports tourism isn't about just hosting events. It is about ensuring that your country is seen as a destination for sports people to come. And not just to come for the sport, but to come for the sport and the other things that the country offers. So it could be the ecology that we have here, you know, the environment that we have, the sun, the sea, the reefs, the diving, the hiking, it could be all the other things that we offer. And even the things like carnival and other activities we put on, heritage festival, whatever. So it is more than just about playing sport, but sport is the vehicle that we use for that. It's to encourage universities, right? In the past, we had universities coming here when their season, you know, they come from the cold and they're looking for a place to train. Come and use our pool. The aquatic center is world class. Come and use the stadia we have. We have 5 wonderful stadia. Come and use the racket center in Tagarigua. Come and use the velodrome. You know, and that way, they're made use of. We generate funds, and hopefully the funds would help to better maintain the facilities, because that is our a bit of an Achilles heel in Trinidad and Tobago, where we build wonderful facilities but just don't spend the same amount in maintaining it, proactive maintenance. But as Nikolai said, as an athlete you need money. Well, to maintain the facilities for the athletes you need money as well. So,
are you going to advocate for that? I mean, I know that doesn't fall directly under SporTT.
Well, it does actually. So yes, we constantly champion it. I mean, we have to appear before the public accounts committees, etc., and the parliamentary committees. And at every opportunity I get, like now, I take the opportunity to sing the song, because I think, you know, it's no sense singing it to the chorus members. They know the chorus. So it is really to get the message out there to the community generally, not just the government. And that's another thing, you know. We have this mindset as if the government must provide everything for everybody all of the time. No. First of all, we must do for ourselves. And these athletes are perfect examples of that. It's not money that got them there. It's not the facilities that got them there. It's hard work, discipline, commitment, and dedication. That's what got them there. That the facilities were there was great. They were able to use them as a tool. But that is what gets you there. And, you know, and it behoves all of us as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. The private sector needs to be more engaged, not after the fact, but on the journey. So, you know, everybody would want to heap praises on Nikolai now, you know, or Janae now. But when Nikolai and Janae were looking for the help to get there as young, aspiring athletes who hadn't made their name yet, you know, it's like pulling teeth to get support. So what we really want is the public, the private sector to be more engaged, come on board early, lend the expertise. It could just be me and administration. It's not always about money. Lend your time. Time is so precious. Nobody wants to give their time. Everybody wants somebody else to give their time. So give your time, give your effort.
Yeah. All right. So any final thoughts from you, Nikolai?
No, I really have nothing right now.
All right. Anything from you,
Same
Janae?
as well.
So you all were all talked out, right? We good to go. Any final thoughts from you, Mr. Camacho?
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity and to thank the young people in particular. Worthy.
Yeah. We had a loss for words. I mean, we're so proud, Yeah. And that is how we end this week's episode of Delving Deeper. Let me just thank Nikolai Blackmon, Janae Gannes, and Mr. Douglas Camacho for joining us
Thank you.
on this week's episode of Delving Deeper. From all of us here, have a good night.